Virginia. Um, Freshman year, I could definitely say freshman year is a mental mission for anyone coming out of high school. Battling homesickness, fighting the real world struggles and all the good stuff on your own is definitely a tough challenge. I feel like for me, freshman year was a little more hard. I was always a quiet, introverted kid growing up. I was always taught to only speak when spoken to and to keep a low profile. So growing up, I got very great at being seen and not heard, always looking from the outside in, never in the mix of anything. So being in college, having to get things done off my own will and own powers was definitely shocking and tough challenge. I remember talking to my mom every day and telling her how I hated being in school, how I wanted to come home and work, or at least just transfer. And she would tell me, no, of course, and I need to come out of my shell and basically experience all the new things that I have at hand. And I would think to myself, even if I wanted to, how could I? I hated crowds, I hated talking to people, and shied away from mostly all communication and social interactions. It was school, classwork, and straight to my room. And even in a class setting, I would say I did the bare minimum just to get by, just to get out of there, to go back to my room in solitude. I remember one day being in Dr. Leon's base class while we were supposed to be picking out group projects, avoiding communication with everyone. I was doing it on my desk, trying to avoid eye contact with anyone. I remember Dr. Bay personally called me out in front of the whole class and basically publicly humiliated me and made me a group leader. Not only did I have to handpick my own group for the next 15 minutes, but I had to face the fact that I just got publicly humiliated in front of a class. And he told me to stay after class and talk with him, have a conversation, just so he can get to know me and we can touch bases on where I wanted to be in the next couple of years. So with the next 30, 45 minutes of the class, I tried to plan my grand escape so I can get out of here so I can avoid having a conversation with him. But on my way to my room, all I heard was, "Mr. Rozier, can I please talk to you for a second?" Accepting my defeat and my failure on escaping, I turned around and I had a conversation with Dr. Bay. He told me how he seen potential in me and how he wanted me to join a sports management majors club, and he seen so much in me that he seen it himself. I remember telling him that I'll consider it, but deep down inside I knew that I wasn't going to do it. I didn't want to join. I remember for the rest of the semester and the next couple of weeks, he just constantly dropped in the sports management majors club in every conversation. And I laughed it off, kept it pushing, and they just ignored it. One day, he caught me in the hallway and he screamed, "Mr. Rozier, you know you stuck with me, right?" It was funny, I laughed it off just to get by, get through with it, but in reality, I knew he was correct. That same week, I realized that none of the schools that I wanted to transfer to either didn't have my major or didn't accept any of the credits that I already taken. So it was pretty much pointless. I was stuck where I was at, stuck with the school that I was in and the situations at hand. So I had to buckle down and really express everything that I wanted to do. I remember going to my advisor to do my classes for the next semester, and he dropped a couple of gems on me and said, 3 things that help you in life: what you know, and who knows you. He continued and said, everybody gets a piece of paper after their 4 years and gets a nice little stroll across the stage, but what separates you from everybody else when you hit the real world? Those things kind of hit home and changed my perspective on a lot of things. And that very next week, I joined the Sports Management Majors Club, and here I am today. Vice President of the Sports Management Majors Club. I've worked with Richmond Raceway, I've worked with the Richmond Flying Squirrels. I have several internships with University of Richmond Sports Marketing Team and Virginia State University Sports Information. So I've done a lot of things outside of school and inside of school. I've also helped run several student-led group organizations such as the intramural basketball, intramural football championship, and our symposium that we host every year. So those things definitely initiated growth in myself, and as well as helped me become a leader and as far as a lot of things. If I had to give my freshman self any advice, it would be to be comfortable being uncomfortable. A lot of things in life are behind the door that you don't want to open. Thank you. And I would like to introduce next my main man, Vidal Travis, to talk about his sophomore year.
All right, thank you for that warm welcome, Mr. Rozier. My name is Vidal Travis. I'm a health and physical education major with a K-12 minor. And I'm going to be talking to you all about my sophomore year. My freshman year, I can definitely say was an experience that I'll never forget. However, my sophomore year was by far my most challenging, but also it was my most important or my most memorable. I say that for two main reasons. The first reason is because it's the year that I decided to change my major, which is very important because that will ultimately determine what I'll be doing in my career. The second main reason is because it's the year that really made me mature, and it taught me what it took to survive college. As a freshman, during orientation, I remember our speaker told us to stand up and to look around at our peers. He told us that many of the people who are sitting with us today wouldn't finish with us. At the time, I thought, surely that's not true. There's no way that as many people as he said wouldn't make it out with me. But by sophomore year, I realized what he was talking about, because many of those same people who were with me, who had started with me, including some of my friends, were no longer attending Virginia State. With that being said, I realized it's a lot more difficult than people realize to actually finish college. And in order to do that, you have to do a couple of things. The first thing that you really have to do is to be okay with changing how you do things. I remember throughout high school and through my freshman year, I never really had any problems completing my work. And I always thought that I'd be fine as long as I just get good grades and do what I was supposed to do. However, sophomore year really tested me. That was the year that it really forced me to grow up and to do better with managing my time. My sophomore classes were a lot harder than my freshman classes, and I really had to put the time in, dedicate myself to doing the best that I could. I couldn't necessarily go to every party or every event that I wanted to go to. There were certain times where I had to do schoolwork, and so sophomore year really helped me in that aspect. The second thing that sophomore year really taught me was just how important it is to network with other people. Like I said, I had always thought that it was just enough to get good grades, and that would land me the job, whatever job I wanted. However, I realized during sophomore year that the connections that you make with other people, such as your professors or other people in your life, will ultimately have just as much impact on helping you get a job or something that your grades will. While I was initially skeptical of coming out of my shell and talking to people, I ended up realizing it was the best thing for me. As a sophomore, I was required to shadow another teacher because that would help me figure out what I needed to do as a teacher. While I didn't want to do that at first, after doing it, I realized that those teachers that I had to shadow, and I realized that those professors that I had actually were teaching me that very valuable things, and I learned a lot from them about how to better myself as a teacher. In addition to that, they taught me things that I would need outside of the classroom in my everyday life. So, if I could leave you with two pieces of advice, the first piece of advice I would tell you is that it's okay to change up how you do things, or you'll have to, because you can't continue doing the same thing over and expect to get different results. And the second piece of advice that I want to leave you is that it's very important to network with people, because when you do that, it opens up doors for you in order to achieve the things you'll want to do. Thank you. next we'll have my classmate, Miss Sydney Brown. She's going to be talking to you about her junior year.
Good afternoon, my name is Sydney Brown, and I'm going to be speaking to y'all about junior year. I wrote a letter to myself, so I'm going to be sharing that with y'all. Dear Sydney, you bit off way more than you can chew. Junior year is going to stress you out, but I'm telling you that you can do it. And in life, you got to take the good with the bad, so we're going to start there. Believe me or not, junior year, you got your first F. And I know you're thinking, no way, no how, not me, but yes, you. I remember it like it was yesterday. You had to go to all your teachers during midterms to make sure you were in good academic standing for athletics, and you thought nothing of it until you went to your physiology of exercise teacher, and with a straight face, she circled an F and told you to have a great day. And on the inside, you were freaking out. But eventually the grade came up, but talk about scary. And honestly, junior year, that was your biggest problem, was time and effort. But let's be real, you're not a traditional college student. You are a full-time student, you're a single mother, captain of the softball team, president of Phi Epsilon Kappa, member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and a commuter. You have a whole lot going on, but you're gonna get through it. Now we can talk about the good. Junior year was full of opportunities. You had to be a station leader with the Special Olympics, and that was your favorite event by far. You also got to tour multiple facilities in the surrounding areas, learning more about facility management and operations. You even worked with multiple school districts from Chesterfield County to Dinwiddie. You got to help instruct with swim RVA, specifically to make sure all little kids know how to blow bubbles underwater. You even got to host a press conference for the Virginia State Intramural Football Championships, and you participated in more campus cleanups than you can count. Junior year, you had a lot going on. And you also had some personal milestones. Your son turned 1, you crossed the best sorority ever, and your Virginia State softball team finished 3rd in the conference, which was a huge improvement from last season. But junior year was not easy. You have to fall in love with the word, no shortcuts. You have to stay on top of your assignments, and you have to go to class. Now, finish what we started and knock them dead senior year. And now I'm gonna have Kennedy Preston. She's gonna talk to y'all about senior year.
Thank you, Sid.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kennedy Preston. I am from Wakefield, Virginia, and I will be talking to y'all about my senior year. As I was a transfer from Richard Bland College of William & Mary, I started out knowing that I wanted to be a math teacher. When I transferred to Virginia State, I realized then that that's not what I wanted to do. So I switched to health science. After being in health science classes for 1 semester, I quickly realized that I did not want to teach. I wanted to be a teacher again. But I wanted to stay in the health and physical education department. The health and physical education department at Virginia State University has helped me become a better person and has geared me towards being a great teacher. Also being in the health and physical education department at Virginia State University, there have been many opportunities handed to me, and I am truly grateful for that. Some of the opportunities that I've had are being a event leader for a station during the Special Olympics, which was the softball throw. And then I also participated in 2 field days at 2 elementary schools where I conducted 2 stations. Then I also participated in the swim RVA, making sure that the students knew their strokes, whether they were floating backwards on their back or floating on their stomachs. Then I participated in Adventure Day at Elsie Byrd High School in Chesterfield, Virginia, where the kids learned how to shoot archery, go fishing, and navigate through the campground. I also participated in many other community services activities throughout the community. Being at Virginia State University in the education department, it has helped me become a better person and has geared me towards becoming a better teacher, and I am truly thankful for that. Thank you, VSU. Now introducing our very own Dr. Kimball.
Let's give a round of applause to everyone. All right, so, got a question for you. See how many get to you really. Of course, always have some questions. Okay, we're talking about tennis shoes and ties. Oh, wow. Okay, obviously I wasn't gonna bring my sneakers with me, but I did bring my shoelaces. I wanna know, what does a tennis shoe lace and a necktie have in common?
Towel.
All right, you got it. I wish I had a prize I would give it to you, but I don't. Okay, you have to tie both of them. Now, since you said you got to tie it, then one of you can answer. Do you tie it in a knot?
Yeah.
You tie it in a knot. You consider it a knot? Yes. All right. Okay. Now, when I hear the word tying a knot, some almost 10 years ago, I tied the knot. And when I think about you guys and listening to your presentations and what we faculty, as well as joined by you students, set out to do on a daily basis, we have tied the knot. And we have the same level of expectations for you, whether you're in tennis shoe or you have a tie, or you have both. And we make a commitment that when you tie the knot, you're bringing two entities together and they're joined as one. And each and every day, whether we're on campus, whether we are out in the community, whether we're working with our various community partners, organizations, we have the same level of commitment to each and every one of them. And we know we always prepare, we're on time, and we get ready and what?
Stay ready.
Get ready and what?
Stay ready.
And speaking of getting ready and staying ready, because obviously you're doing that on a daily basis, we're gonna have an alum who's now turned faculty member, a new dynamic faculty member, who's come through the program and has exemplified all those things that we preach and we teach on a daily basis. Dr. Donovan Smalls.
Thank you. I want to kind of switch up what I was going to say, and I want to kind of tell you a little bit about myself, because I think, some of you all don't really know much about me. So I'm from Union, New Jersey. What got me here is I started off playing multiple sports when I was younger: basketball, soccer, and also baseball. Basketball is one of the sports that I really gravitated toward. And what happened was, in middle school, I was a highly ranked basketball player out of the state of New Jersey. Early on, I wanted to go D1. That was my main concept. And so going into my high school year, I got invited to the junior Nike camp in St. Louis, Missouri. So I played with guys like Steph Curry and Derrick Rose, and Spencer Hawes was on my team. Lance Thomas, who was previously on the Knicks, he was one of my roommates at another camp. So in my mind, going D1 was absolutely going to happen. But what happened was, I had multiple losing seasons in high school, didn't really get the looks that I was looking at, even though after coming back from Nike, I was a nationally ranked player. But for whatever reason, it just didn't work out for me with basketball. So at the end of my senior year, I didn't have a scholarship. It was probably one of the most devastating moments in my life, because that's all I wanted to do. But what happened from there was, my family, we figured out, okay, let's do a year of prep school. So I did a year of prep school, moved down to South Carolina, in Pickens, South Carolina, in the middle of nowhere, thinking that things were going to work out. So I played extremely well, made an all-tournament team in Tennessee. But again, at the end of my prep school experience, no scholarship at all. Tried to walk on at Coastal Carolina. They told me that they had an opportunity, still didn't work out. Ended up transferring from there. I went to Erskine College in Due West, South Carolina, which is a Division II school. And I played there for a year, but at that time I started to get homesick, and things, again, weren't working out. Transferred from Erskine College, I went to the College of New Jersey, Division III school, which I wanted to be back home. So from there, things, began to feel better. I was around my family. I got to play basketball again. I graduated from there with a degree in health and physical education. Never wanted to be a health and PE teacher. That was just never in my plan. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to Virginia State to get my master's degree. They had sport management. My parents both graduated from South Carolina State. So they said, you know, try out the HBCU experience. So I did that. Virginia State gave me an opportunity to be a grad assistant. So under Dr. Bay, I taught the same courses that I'm teaching now. I used to teach during the master's program. So a smooth transition. And then from there, graduated from VSU, went on to get my doctorate from Drexel. Again, did not know this is what I wanted to do, but the opportunity opened up, and we always talk about networking and putting yourself out there. And so I got the call a week after defending my dissertation saying we have some positions open. So now I'm here. And I tell you all that to say, this is all an interview. So regardless, there's nobody here, but it's something you get to put on your resume, and at some point you and I might be colleagues, right? Dr. Reese was one of my professors. Now we're colleagues. Ms. Jackson, Professor Jackson, was one of my professors. Now we're colleagues. So again, we might be working together at some point. So I don't want you to think that, okay, we don't have an audience, that doesn't mean much. This is something you put on your resume, nobody knows, and you can still use it to your benefit, right? So I just wanted to share some of that information. Hopefully you can find some inspiration in it and see that everything matters, all right? Thank you. Any questions? All right.